Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled Projections. I want to talk about projections. Projections are one of those things that are everywhere in life, whether you notice them or not. They're like background noise in human interactions, quietly shaping the way people behave. You might be in a conversation with someone, and suddenly they start saying things that feel off, things that don't seem to reflect you at all. That's projection in action. It's subtle at times, but once you know what to look for, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Let's start with the basics. What is projection? In simple terms, it's when someone takes thoughts, feelings, or traits they don't like about themselves and shifts them onto someone else. Imagine a movie projector. It takes an image from inside and casts it onto an external surface. That's exactly what people do with their insecurities, fears, and unprocessed emotions. Instead of owning up to them, they push them onto you. It's a defense mechanism, a way to avoid dealing with uncomfortable truths about themselves. And trust me, it's way more common than people realize. Here's the thing: projection isn't just about what people say, it's also about what they don't say, how they deflect responsibility, and how they frame situations to make themselves look better or feel less vulnerable. For example, someone who's insecure about their intelligence might accuse you of being stupid or ignorant, even though there's no real basis for it. What they're really doing is voicing their own fears, but they don't even realize it. That's what makes projection so sneaky. It can feel convincing, like maybe they're onto something, when in reality, it's all about them. I've seen this play out a lot with bullies. Bullies are classic examples of people who project. They'll hurl insults, tear people down, and act superior. But if you pay attention, their words often reveal more about their own insecurities than anything else. When they call someone weak or pathetic, they're usually describing how they feel about themselves deep down. They can't confront those feelings directly, so they lash out at others. It's like they're holding up a mirror, but instead of looking into it, they aim it at everyone around them. One of the most important things I've learned about projection is this: don't take it personally. That's easier said than done, of course, especially when someone's words hit a nerve. But the truth is, their projections have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. When someone is projecting, they're exposing their own struggles, not making a valid point about you. Understanding this can be a game changer. It allows you to separate yourself from their issues and stop carrying the emotional weight of their insecurities. Another tricky thing about projection is that people rarely admit to it. Call someone out on projecting, and chances are they'll deny it. They might even double down, accusing you of being defensive or scared of the truth. That's part of the pattern. Projection is, at its core, a form of denial. Admitting they're projecting would mean acknowledging the parts of themselves they're trying so hard to avoid, and most people just aren't ready to do that. It's frustrating, but it's also a reminder of how deeply rooted their struggles are. This ties into something I've talked about before: manipulation. Projection can feel manipulative because it messes with your perception of reality. It can make you question yourself, wonder if maybe they're right, or even blame yourself for things that aren't your fault. That's why identifying projection is so important. Once you recognize it, you can stop internalizing it and start setting boundaries. You can remind yourself, this isn't mine to carry, and let it go. Projection can also feel a lot like gaslighting. Sometimes people who project will accuse you of projecting, flipping the script to make it seem like you're the one with the problem. It's a way to shift the focus and avoid accountability. This can be incredibly disorienting, especially if you're someone who values self-awareness and tries to reflect on your actions. But here's the key: trust yourself. If their accusations don't align with what you know about yourself, they're probably projecting. Recognizing projection takes practice, but it's worth the effort. It helps you see people more clearly, not just for their actions, but for what those actions reveal about their inner world. It's not about judging them or writing them off. It's about understanding that their behavior isn't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their own struggles, fears, and insecurities. And once you understand that, it's easier to stay grounded and not get dragged into their emotional chaos. That said, it's still hard to deal with, especially when it comes from people you care about. Projection doesn't just happen with strangers or acquaintances, it happens in close relationships too. A friend, partner, or family member might project their issues onto you, and that can be painful. You might feel like you're being unfairly criticized or misunderstood. In those moments, it's important to remind yourself that their projection isn't your responsibility. You can empathize with their struggles without taking on their emotional baggage. If there's one thing I wish more people understood, it's that projection isn't always malicious. Most of the time, it's unconscious. People don't wake up and think, I'm going to project my insecurities onto someone today. It's more like a reflex, a way to protect themselves from feelings they don't know how to handle. That doesn't make it okay, but it does make it easier to approach the situation with compassion for them and for yourself. At the end of the day, projection is just one of many ways people cope with their insecurities. It's messy, it's frustrating, and it can be hurtful, but understanding it gives you power. It helps you separate yourself from the noise and focus on what's real. And that's one of the most important lessons I can share. Don't let someone else's inability to face their own issues make you question yourself. Stay strong, stay grounded, and remember, you're not the reflection they're trying to throw at you. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.